First punter in the Hall of Fame, Mr. Guy, thanks for having us.
Great to be here, man. Great location.
Appreciate that. My first question to you is, you were in 3 Super Bowls, one of them against my Eagles. What was your most memorable Super Bowl and why?
Well, it's hard to really pinpoint exactly which one was the most memorable one, but I can say from the standpoint of the Redskins in 18 down in Tampa, each team we have played in the Super Bowl, the Vikings and the Eagles and the Redskins, they beat us during the season, but we wind up playing them in the Super Bowl and we destroy them. But the Redskins, they back-to-back Super Bowl appearances.
Right.
They had Riggins and Theismann and all that, and they had the Hogs. They had led the league both years in rushing and all that, dominating the running game and all that. Well, for some reason or other, that whole week down in Tampa practicing, they were making little comments about, we beat the Raiders in the regular season, we're going to do the same thing. We never said a word. And I know all during practice and all that, I would help with the offensive and defensive line to run, drills during practice. And that week, we had 4 fights in practice.
Wow.
They're normally from the guys that don't even fight. And but then the day before the Super Bowl, we had a media day out on the field there in Tampa. We did ours first, and as we were getting through, the Redskins were coming out of their dressing room in their jerseys and pants. Well, here come Mr. Riggins with a cowboy hat on and cowboy boots, acting cocky. Okay, fine. So that was probably the best win. But they were all memorable because it's an honor to get to the Super Bowl.
Of course.
But that one was probably the sweetest, just because they were running their mouths all week.
When you were playing, who was the biggest rival and why?
Well, actually, that whole AFC West division there, which we had the Raiders and the Chargers and the Broncos and the Chiefs, that was always pretty much a very dominant AFC West.
Right.
Now, all of those Denver and Kansas City were always a big rival, but usually at the end it always came down to, as far as at the end of the season, was the Raiders and the Steelers. The Steelers hated us, we hated them and all that, but it was always a good competition. But the AFC West, every one of them, in Kansas City, I didn't really like to go into Kansas City to play, but that's part of being a Raider. And the tradition is the Raiders always the bad boys. They're the dirtiest ones. Well, you can believe what you want to believe, but from the known fact is there were some bunch of teams out there worse than we were. But hey, the Steelers, it always came down to that.
And you made the Hall of Fame last year. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
When you made the Hall, what was your first thought?
Well, my first thought was, it took me a while to believe it. And I remember when I got the call up in New York from Dave Baker, which I didn't realize Dave was the incoming president of the Hall of Fame. See, I was expecting a 330 number, which is Canton, Ohio. I get a 714 call, which is Anaheim, California. And I'm thinking, now who the devil from that? One of them reporters out there. But anyway, make a long story short, I had to ask Dave 3 times on the phone, are you sure? He said, yeah. So, but it took a while for it to soak in, because that was my 8th time being on the final list in the voting. And I had a kind of a feeling going in September when I got the call from the Hall stating that I was one of their 2 seniors, being Claude Humphreys, And I knew that when the senior was on the ballot, more times than none, that would work. And so I was a little bit more confident, but I didn't really get overboard with it. And up until I got the call, I was kind of wondering about it. I pretty much then gave up because it was late, when I got the call. But, I think, I'm not saying I should have been in earlier. I thought I would be. I thought my statistics, you know, or my performance, you might want to say, was good enough, you know, to be considered and maybe even make it, but it didn't happen. So I think when I did get the call and I did go into the Hall of Fame, I think from a standpoint deep inside that it was a relief off of my shoulders, but I was more happier for the fans throughout the country that have been behind me and supportive of me. Without them being there and saying, yeah, we're going to get you in, you know, just a matter of time. But then to come to going up there a week before going to Canton, I get a call from Greg Coleman stating that him and a bunch of other former NFL punters were going to be at the Hall of Fame to help celebrate.
I didn't know that.
There were over 20 of them there that showed up, and they had jersey special made, cap special made. That morning around lunchtime, they all came over to the hotel and we just sat down in a room and we just talked.
That's great.
And so I think the standpoint is, I think I kind of opened the eyes to a lot of people that had doubts that a punter shouldn't be there, because it is an important part of the game.
Of course it is.
It's the other third part of the game that technically, from a standpoint, if you look at it, actually controls a lot of the game.
I agree.
By the way they turn it around. So, you know, hopefully I guess what they call me, the Godfather. I guess I'm going to be the Godfather. So we'll go from there.
Sounds good. Mr. Guy, it was a pleasure. Well
My
deserved.
pleasure. I appreciate you having me. It's great
And-
staff.
Thank you so much.
Great time.